Sanctuary cities are going to continue supporting and shielding illegals from being fingered by anybody, or certainly by federal officials, that they will be protected at the local level, even though they are here illegally. Jessica Tarloff is with us, Deneen Borelli, and Gabby Mangillo. Gabby, what do you think of this?
You know, it's interesting to see to consider what might change under a Trump administration in terms of the sanctuary cities, the existence, and the pushback that we're seeing among many of these mayors. I mean, Donald Trump campaigned on a promise to enforce law and order, to enforce the rule of law, especially as it relates to immigration. And he talked often about the victims of illegal crimes committed by illegal immigrants. I mean, Kate Steinle was somebody who he brought up often on the campaign trail and in his signature campaign rallies. And so for these mayors to now stand up and say that under a Trump administration, local law enforcement authorities are not going to obey whatever immigration restrictions he puts in place, it's going to be interesting and something we should look forward to see what the development is, what type of action can be taken by the administration, perhaps legally, to enforce these laws and to make sure that mayors are enforcing the immigration laws on the books.
Yet, you know, Deneen, I'm remembering Sheriff Joe Arpaio, who lost re-election, and how the weight of the federal world came down on him for trying to do his job and for trying to deport illegals in his community. And that was the weight of the administration using all federal levers to stop it. Very different case here.
Well, it's pretty outrageous that you have individuals who are in leadership positions who are going against the law, basically. These are individuals who have broken the law. They're here in the country illegally, Neil, and it's about citizens first, the safety and security of American citizens. There are way too many illegal immigrants in our country who have not only broken the law because they're here illegally, but there are an untold number of them who have committed crimes, and they should not be here. And this is a platform that Donald Trump did run on, and it is about law and order, safety and security of American citizens first, and that's how it should be.
You know, Jessica, it comes at a time when you have this national campus walkout day, and young people are being urged, you know, skip class, state your beef with an incoming Trump administration. What's going on here?
I don't really know, and I'm about as liberal as they come, and I'm overeducated as well. I think that this is a really bad idea. Kind of reinforces a notion that the real world is all sunshine and ponies and rainbows, and it's not that way. I think it's important for teachers to spend time with the students talking about what happened in this election, the issues that won it for Donald Trump and why the Democrats lost, and why that we have to compromise, frankly, with our fellow Americans. So I think that this kind of attitude towards it is dangerous. There are positive ways to protest, positive ways to voice your concerns. I don't see this as that. Personally, what I'd like to say on the sanctuary city front, though, there's a distinction here between what Democrats are talking about in terms of enforcing the law and what Donald Trump said. So Barack Obama has deported 530,000 illegal immigrants who have committed crimes since 2013. What Donald Trump is doing that's different here is he's talking about people who are suspected of crimes, not convicted yet. And there's a big distinction there, and I think that's what a lot of Democrats are talking about in terms of protecting these people. If you're just suspected of something, that's very different.
But how would you know? How would you know whether they're a criminal or not in the local city? I mean, if they're being shielded, you could easily fall under that shield and not be fingered.
I think that there's a concern here. I'm just saying there's a language issue that I think the Democrats are reacting to harshly here. And I do think that we should enforce the law. And like I said about the walkouts, we need to understand the fact that people who supported Donald Trump did this because of his anti-illegal immigration platform. Many Americans support that, though over 60% support a pathway to citizenship. So it's very complicated.
Where are the sanctuary cities for American citizens who have had their lives lost or their property destroyed because of people who are here illegally, Jessica? This is about Americans following the law
with you, Deneen,
and not going against what the laws that we have on our books. It's about safety and security.
I understand that, and I have tremendous sympathy, obviously, for anyone who's been a victim of a crime, especially from someone who shouldn't have been here in the first place. But I think that we run the risk of tarring the entire illegal immigrant population. There's 11 million people who we all know cannot be deported if we just say, maybe you're a gang member, maybe you're a drug dealer. Listen, we should look at visa overstays. That's the #1 reason people are here illegally.
Well, all I know right now, and Gabby, you can help me with this, when I looked at this University of Chicago plan to have this national campus walkout day, quoting here, so many of us are feeling scared and alone and still don't understand what Donald Trump's election means for both the future of our movement and our immediate economy and physical security. The surge in hateful violence and racial abuse sparked by Trump's victory is terrifying. Those same protests in cities like Portland veered into riots by people who don't like the outcome of an election. Whatever happened to suck it up if it doesn't go your way? Deal with it. Don't be a sore loser. Quit whining. Go back to class and do what you're supposed to do.
Right. Well, Neil, this is a trend that's happened at higher education institutions and has been for a long time. I mean, we saw the University of Michigan this week offer law school students a chance to play with coloring books and Play-Doh in order to cope with the election results. And I have to wonder if they would do the same thing if Hillary Clinton had emerged victorious in last Tuesday's elections. I highly doubt that that would be the case. I mean,
no, those guys would be anarchists. Janine, my only worry with this is the message it's sending our young people. A number of high schools across the country are also having this skip a day to make a statement thing, and one is in the Washington area. There are many, many others in the Silver Spring area in Los Angeles. Now, these are kids. These are many of them, most of them, well under the age of 18. So someone is setting them up for this sort of thing as we look at a bunch of them in Washington, D.C. Who?
Well, I do believe it is orchestrated. There are leftist organizations that are encouraging individuals to go out and protest. And, Neil, I got to tell you, it is very concerning with our young people that are looking at this, that are leaving school, leaving classes to go out and protest. Do they even know what they're protesting about? I'm thinking about the grandparents of these Americans who landed on the beaches of Normandy for our freedom, for our rights. And to witness this going on with this younger generation, I find it just very disturbing, very outrageous.
Well, in defense of these people who are protesting, they feel that there's a lot that's outrageous and disturbing about Donald Trump's rhetoric of the last kind of 18 months. So this isn't just made up. Yes, I don't think
there were Trump protesters, if the election were reversed and they didn't like the rhetoric out of Hillary Clinton or the actions of Hillary Clinton, and then they had to live with her getting elected president of the United States, would you be as magnanimous?
I think that I would be. I mean, I wish we were having a test of that right now, quite frankly. But yes, I think that I would be.
I think you're very young, but if I had a child of this age and they were keen on these kind of protests, I would say, you've got another couple hours till school is finished anyway.
Oh, absolutely.
Wait until then.
I think parents should do that. I think that the schools should be doing that as well. I think it's important to understand your First Amendment rights to make sure none of this gets violent, but also the importance of the power of the vote. You know, we were talking earlier, Neil, about the fact that I think 50% of people who were participating in a protest in Portland hadn't voted. If you don't vote, you don't get to cause a ruckus like this.
And how ironic is that in Portland, that in one of the most liberal cities in America, and they're destroying their own base?
Yeah, well, especially, you know, people take that for granted, that, you know, the blue wall is impenetrable. And look at what's happened now. It's been completely blown up, and the country's bright red. So definitely
well, whatever your beef, all I'm saying, Ed, and all I'm pointing out here is that whatever your beef, legitimate or otherwise, with an election, you didn't like the consequences. I'm not saying you. The fact of the matter is, we have to accept it, and it is
100%.
Fair and square. Donald Trump won. You might not like that, but you're already pre-dooming him, and you're already protesting the actions of a president who hasn't even assumed office. Right. If Republicans or conservatives had done that 8 years ago, they'd rightly be called on the carpet.
Sure. Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right, Neil. I totally agree. And now we got the race card being played. Now it's being racist because people are pushing back against Obama's failed policies. Even that's coming into play, which is outrageous.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens. Well, guys, I want to thank you all. We'll monitor this very, very closely.